It's all aboard for the latest edition of This Racing Life. We're here in Gloucestershire and Worcestershire to catch up with a trainer and jockey combination making waves in the flat world. And despite usually getting places under my own steam, today I'm using the steam train to arrive at Cheltenham racecourse. First up though, it's all change at Jonjo O'Neill's. For our first stop, we've alighted here at Jack Doughty's castle in Gloucestershire to catch up with an experienced sage of the training ranks, Jonjo O'Neill, who has been joined on his training licence by young son AJ, to make life here very much a family affair.
It's always something that I've had in the back of my mind. I did step away from horses for a short period of time, kind of after school, and then, as it often does, kind of you get sucked back in. I'm very, very fortunate to do something that I do really love. It does make working life a lot easier. So yeah, it's always been something that I've considered. I rode as an amateur for a couple of years, which I really enjoyed, but probably always knew that it wasn't something that I looked to do professionally. So yeah, very fortunate that I've been able to join Dad in the training licence this season, and really looking forward to it.
I know that you've always had a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit, selling watches and the like, so it's not always been racing per se all the way through, has it?
No, not necessarily. When I was at university and things, kind of just exploring different things, but always alongside racing. Yeah, just like to try different things, see how it went. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But yeah, just as long as I learn from the mistakes, I suppose, and keep kicking and try and put it to good use.
And you talk about that family element, that everyone's heavily involved. Of course, it must be a pretty nice place to start your training career as a young man like yourself in an amazing facility like Jack Doughty's castle. Yeah,
extremely fortunate. Extremely fortunate, as you say. It's a wonderful place. It's, you know, really has got state-of-the-art facilities. It's a beautiful location. Very well located for a lot of race courses, very central. So it's an unbelievable place. I'm very fortunate for the leg up that I have to be able to start off here, but yeah, just have to try and keep it going.
And do you think with that leg up comes a little bit more added pressure to succeed?
I would be probably quite a self-critical person anyway, and would always be looking for ways that I could have done better or could have changed something to do it better the next time. Always looking to improve an aspect of something. So it probably does, but I would think that I would be more putting the pressure on myself to do better, irrespective of where I was, just to try and make sure that we're as competitive as possible.
And do you think you've learnt that and sort of gleaned that attribute from your dad?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously Dad was a very successful professional sports person. Jonjo following in his footsteps, growing up in a household where, you know, 50% of the inhabitants are professional athletes. It's always going to be a very competitive place. I wasn't particularly sporty, as I said, in school, but like to definitely retain that competitive element.
Depends on any harm and Kev's on IUIs.
Family's grown up and we've got to keep them on the move. No point in letting them lie idle and me doing all the work. So it's nice to have him join up, and he's very keen. The both lads are very keen, so you know, onwards and upwards hopefully.
And I know that Jonjo Jr. has always been the one likely to be the rider.
Yes.
Were you always hoping that AJ would follow your footsteps?
Yeah, he was always interested in that side of it more. So he had an amateur licence, he rode a few winners. He enjoyed it, but he was always wanting to train really. So time has come to make his mind up.
And it's perfect for him really, isn't it? Coming into a yard of this nature, Jack Doughty Castle, the facilities, and to have a man of your experience too behind him. It certainly gives him a nice boost, doesn't it, earlier in his career?
Yeah, it does. It can be good or bad, can't it? You know, because if things don't go well, it looks bad, you know. But if things go well, I'll take the credit for it. So he has no chance.
There's a lot of small individual things about certain horses. The way that he sees horses is he's a very good connection with the animals, and the way that he can decide what is and isn't correct for a certain horse with a very, very high degree of accuracy.
And do you think the attention to detail that is required to be a trainer like your dad has been inherited by yourself?
It's something that I definitely aspire towards, something that I don't feel I've mastered, and I always feel that there's room for improvement, but the margins are so fine in any competitive sport, especially at the kind of top levels. You just have to, you know, really try and dot every I, cross every T, and make sure that it's all, you know, as good as possible, and as accurate as possible. Dad's had good success on the flat over the years, and it's definitely something that we'd like to get more of and have a few more.
Yeah, when I was up north, I would probably be a third flat, 2/3 jumping. It's just how it was, and then when you come down here, it's just with David being here, it was a kind of a jumping place, and it went that way really.
Obviously, you're a lot younger than your father. Have you brought with you a slightly different mindset in terms of training? Are there certain things you've brought, given the fact you have that youth on your side, that perhaps your dad wouldn't have?
It's something that, you know, we're always trying to improve, as I said. As you said, obviously I am a lot younger than Dad, but Dad is extremely pro-change. He's not resistant to change in any way. He's always open to trying new ideas, which is a massive help for everyone here. It's something that we're always keen to try something new. If it doesn't work, we can always, you know, take a step back, look at the results, revert back to, you know, what we were doing before, if that was a better scheme.
Yeah, he's keen. He's a good personality. He's very thorough in what he does. Meticulous, actually.
That's quite helpful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very much so. Yeah, and he's very much into the veterinary side of things, and you know, he gets very involved in all that. So I think it's a big plus, really. Yeah, he just loves it, and he's putting his heart and soul into it. So hopefully it works for him.
You've had some wonderful horses here over the years, some big winners. Do you think he feels the pressure of that?
Well, we need to get them back, you know. It seems a while ago now, so we're building back up, hopefully, and some nice young horses to work at this year, and hopefully if they're lucky and stay safe and sound, they have a chance of coming back. So yeah, he's working at all that.
You're in the slightly rare position of the fact that your brother is your stable rider. What's that relationship like? How does that manifest itself?
Very good. It's always a very dynamic conversation between all of us as to what we think about the horses. It's always something that, if something just comes into our head, we'll just kind of put it out there as an idea on the group chat, and you know, see how it sinks, you know, or floats, hopefully. Yeah, we all maintain a very good relationship, and there's always kind of very open dialogue of conversation on, you know, everything related to the horses, which is very important, really, because we all need to share our information, our thoughts and ideas as to what's going on, to try and, you know, collate it and do the best we can by the horses.
It's all changed, but to be honest, it's been like that the last couple of years, really, so it was only fair. The AJ came on the licence, and it's a good dynamic, and you know, it's more eyes on the ground, and I think it's working well.
And since he's come on board over the last couple of years and now, have you noticed a shift in direction at all in terms of the training?
Yeah, we're definitely, you know, it's another eyes in the yard, and speaking to the riders and getting a bit more one-to-one tuition with them. I think the horses are definitely getting more personalised training programs now, and you know, Dad is very much treat every horse as an individual, but with an extra eyes on the ground and ears as well, it definitely helps.
And just on your relationship with AJ growing up, I know that you know, some brothers can have fights and have fisticuffs, but did you always get on pretty well? Yeah,
we're typical. We are brothers. So, and you know, when you're so involved in the yard, and that will have different opinions, but that's the same with Dad as well. And sometimes we'll have disagreements, but it's all because we're trying to work towards the same thing. So it doesn't bother me whether we have disagreements.
And it's quite unusual, isn't it? Because, of course, you've got your dad at one end of the spectrum with all that wisdom and experience, and you and AJ at the other end of the spectrum, youthful, but obviously know a lot too. So you all bring different things to the party.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you can never stop learning, obviously. Dad's forgotten more than we'll ever know. So we've always taken his experience with a tight grip, but also we're keen, you know, things are always evolving, and you've got to evolve with the times as well. And yeah, I spent all my summers as a teenager out in Ireland and France working at different yards, and you can just get different ideas and stuff. So trying to implement a couple of them as well does no harm, but at the same time, basics are always the same, and Dad's very good at that.
More of that on the right, Annie Power on the left, the two set up the Cheltenham Hill. It's more of that Barry Garrity, narrowly from Annie Power, who enters unknown territory, and it's more of that who's going to preserve the unbeaten record. More of that, 5 out of 5, wins the Ladbrokes World Hurdle for Barry Garrity, and another winner in the week for Jonjo O'Neill.
I wouldn't dare of talking about retirement for you and you coming off the licence and leaving AJ to it himself, but is there a potential time in the future, a specific time that you thought that might happen?
I'd say I'll be here until I drop in the box.
Oh, yeah, I thought you might say that.
And I say I'll be a nuisance to them until I do that as well, but that's the way I'm looking at it at the moment anyway.
What would a good 2024-25 season look like for the yard?
Dad was very close to breaking the £1 million prize money mark last season. The aim was to get there. We narrowly missed out. So that would very much still be the aim this season, to try and break the million again. We had the best season last year in the last 9 seasons, so very happy that we're on the correct trajectory. So just to try and remain on such would be the aim for the season.
Our next stop required travelling, so what better way to get there than on the Gloucestershire-Warwickshire Steam Railway? Tom managed to speak to Ian Crowder, train fanatic stroke press officer at GWSR, on why the steam train is such a popular method of transport for the Cheltenham Festival.
Ian.
Hello, Tom.
Very good to see you.
Good to see
Thank
you.
you very much for having us.
No, you're very welcome.
To be here.
Take a seat. Welcome
on
to this
steam train.
very comfortable first-class compartment. We're on our way to Cheltenham Racecourse Station. We just left Dotherington. And I know I'm biased because I'm involved with the railway, but in my opinion, it's hard to find a better view from a carriage window than on the Gloucestershire-Warwickshire Steam Railway.
And of course, this is a journey that plenty of racegoers take every year.
Yes, and they have done through history. I mean, nowadays the Gloucestershire-Warwickshire Railway runs race trains to Cheltenham Racecourse Station. It's a station that we opened in 2003 because when the railway acquired the land from British Railways back in 1982, there was no track. They'd lifted all the track up. And we established ourselves at Toddington Station and gradually worked southwards towards Cheltenham, opening Cheltenham Racecourse Station in 2003. And it was opened by a lady who's very much into her horses, the Princess Royal, Princess Anne. And she had a really good day doing that. We run steam trains from Broadway and from Toddington during the festival and also for the November meeting. And during the intervening meetings, a lot of people just turn up, catch a train, travel to the racecourse. You can always spot them. Often they're dressed in morning dress and top hats, which is wonderful. Adds a lovely atmosphere to the train.
They're not missed easily, are they?
They're not. No.
But I know that in historical terms, it's not just been people that these trains have carried, but also horses themselves and racehorses too.
Yes, the relationship between railways and horses goes right back to the dawn of railways in the early 19th century, when the gentry wanted to use the railways to go from A to B, and they took their horses and their carriages, which were mounted onto flat trucks behind the train. But of course, as the design of railway carriages improved and first-class compartments, we're in a first-class compartment, became more comfortable, they travelled on the train itself. and their horses would travel, if they were taking them to a race meeting, in horse boxes. So from an early stage, the railways designed horse boxes which had hinged sides which folded down from the side so that the horses could gain access to and access from those horse boxes, and there was a compartment for the groom as well. And horses were indeed brought to Cheltenham racecourse. They used to attach the horse box to the back of an express train or a local train, which would make a special stop at the station to allow the horse and groom to detrain. But as with many of Britain's railways, road transport started to take over. The design of road horse boxes became better and better and safer, and the last horse box on British railways ran in 1972.
I love that story about racehorses going to the races, though ending up at Cheltenham. I wonder if they've got the same lovely outlook and view that we have on their journeys, if they performed a little bit better because of that on the racecourse itself.
Well, I think if you go to the races, there's a big air of excitement, isn't there? There's an anticipation of the races, about the horses that are running. You pore over the form and decide what you're going to invest your money in, and you might be successful. And indeed, it's interesting when you travel back from Cheltenham racecourse on one of our trains to see the atmosphere, that those who've lost quite a lot want to drown their sorrows, and those who've won quite a lot want to celebrate.
Yes.
Which is good for our buffet staff, whichever way.
Yeah. You know what, 'twas ever thus. And I know that there's quite an interesting and pretty witty story really about before the train came into being, that one of the reasons it came into being was because there was a champion in the north, wasn't there, a champion racehorse, who was carted all the way from the north down south.
Yes.
It took about 2 weeks, I'm led to believe.
Well, it did, and I think the horse probably walked that distance, going from Yorkshire to Newmarket. Took a fortnight. So, and of course, a fortnight to go back again. Of interest, Newmarket was the first racecourse in the country to have direct rail access, and a branch line was built to the racecourse in order to handle equestrian as well as human race-going traffic. And indeed, special trains used to run from Lambourne. Of course, Berkshire is very, very famous as an area for training racehorses. And there used to be special trains of racehorses would run from Lambourne to Newmarket. And of course, across history, I think the history of railways and of racecourses is intrinsically linked. Racecourses were petitioning the railway companies to build stations close to their racecourses, and of course the railways were latching on to a very lucrative form of income. Of course, people arrive in dribs and drabs on the day of a race, but after the last race they all want to leave at once, so it's a complete gridlock, both on the racecourse grounds and in the town. But climbing on the train, sitting there waving to the stationary traffic trying to get out, it's actually a real treat.
So Ian, obviously this train needs a huge amount of power to carry so many racegoers to Cheltenham every year. Just tell me about the inner workings and the machinations of the machine itself.
Well, steam locomotives were developed in the 19th century. Essentially, you've got a boiler, which you can see behind us, and a large fire, which you can see there, that essentially boils the water within the boiler, converts it into steam, and the locomotive uses that steam to drive the valves and pistons, which makes the locomotive go along, converting a backwards and forwards motion to the rotary motion of the driving wheels. And as you say, this is a very powerful engine. It is actually a freight engine built in 1941 at Swindon Works during the war. And it's painted in the black livery that it carried when it came out of the works. And these windows here on the side are also blacked in because during the war, clearly, you wanted as little light to be emitted. And when the firehole doors open, and when the engine is running at its most powerful, the fire is almost white hot. So, you know, got 1,000 degrees of temperature in there. Boiling the water.
Yeah, it's quite something.
Yeah, and the coal used to come from South Wales, but now, of course, the last South Wales coal mine is closed, so we're having to import it. This coal has actually come from Poland.
Oh, really?
Yes.
There you go, quite some way away.
Yes, it's, you know, almost is coals to Newcastle, having to import coal back again to the UK when we've got so much of it under our feet. But that, of course, is another story.
And of course, in the modern world, me and many racegoers like myself are used to getting faster modern trains to Cheltenham Spa Station, then walking out to the racecourse from there for the festival. But if you catch this train, it does go a little bit slower, gets you there nonetheless though.
It does. We'll be visiting Cheltenham Racecourse shortly, and that station was built in 1912 specifically to serve the racecourse, and during its heyday up to 10 trains a day would call there with specials from London, from Birmingham and from elsewhere, carrying racegoers to the station.
We're just drawing into the station now, aren't we? And this is the point at which all the people on this train can crow at those in traffic trying to get into the car parks, saying we're here on time, unlike you. What a place to come into, and what a journey it's been as well. Ian, thank you so much for your time. Will you be back here for the Cheltenham Festival on this steam train?
I certainly will. It's a wonderful atmosphere, actually. The train is full, and you know, people enjoying the experience of coming into the racecourse by train. It's hard to beat. It's a winning combination, steam railways and racing.
Yeah, hopefully a few winners in there as well.
Absolutely.
For yourself. The next stop on our journey is here in Worcestershire. We have disembarked at Tony Carroll Racing, a man who's enjoyed an inundation of success over the last couple of seasons, and with young Jack Doughty making waves in the apprentice ranks, the future also looks pretty bright. Tony, it's been a terrific year for you and the team. We'll come on to your success in a minute or two, but I wanted to first reflect on the all-weather championship. So close yet so far, but must have been quite a thrill to be as close as you did yet.
Yeah, absolutely. We had an awful lot of support from the owners and everybody, and the public as well got behind us in the end, because it was very exciting towards the very end. We only missed by one winner, and yeah, we give it everything. We just couldn't quite make it. You
did give it everything, even down to runners on the last day to try and get up there.
We ran everything we could in the end. We were just pulling them out from anywhere to try and get that one winner to get us level, but we couldn't make it.
And I think it's become one of your trademarks, actually, getting horses, particularly during that all-weather season, to build up sequences of victories, because you've done that a lot in the last couple of years.
Yeah, we've been very lucky. We've had some nicely handicapped little horses, and we've plotted their way through, and they've done very well. They've come with us. It doesn't work for all, but you know, we've been lucky with a few of them.
And a few of those horses who have built up those sequences have certainly contributed quite well to your success this season. At the time of recording, I think we're 81 winners, aren't we?
Yeah, 81.
Not far off the ton.
No, absolutely, which is always it's a target for us this year. It'd be great for the yard if we could train 100 winners out of here this year.
How likely do you think that is?
We believe we can. We've still a good team left. We've got some fresh horses as well. We should be busy at the sales as well, trying to introduce some more for the all-weather and for the winter. So hopefully we'll be able to do it.
On Jack, let's start by discussing how you came across him, because how did he come to the yard in the first place?
Yeah, he came to the yard. He'd been in a couple of other yards, and then he just landed up here. So we were very pleased to see him. Obviously, he's very talented. He'd had experience pony racing, but the whole picture with Jack is very good. He's nice and light. He's very polite. He learns very quickly, and he rides very well.
Did you spy that latent talent from an early stage?
Yeah, you could see from day one that he was going to be very good.
All in the Wind is running on, then Beamish and Diamond Bay. East India Dock with a half furlong to go. All in the Wind is still staying on, but East India Dock, it all goes smoothly today.
I started off with Henry Oliver, and he was going to be moving. He's a jump trainer, so I needed to go to a flat yard. So I got in touch with Tony and came over here. It was actually Mark Doyle who got me in touch with Tony and said, oh, he's done great with apprentices, so, you know, get in touch with him and see what he thinks. And I came here and just started riding out a couple of days a week, and, you know, the hope was to always be an apprentice for Tony, and then I got my licence put forward, and that's it. Yeah, I just kicked on from there once I got my licence and was riding for Tony, yeah.
And he's helped you mould your career as it has been in the kind of early months of it.
Yeah, that's it. He was a jockey himself and rode plenty of winners, and you know, he's a good person to talk to about racing as well.
Style on a racehorse as well. He seems to have all the hallmarks of some of the big guns already.
I think so. I mean, he's got a lot to learn. So it's a long road, as you know, and you never stop learning. So hopefully he'll enjoy and be very successful.
It's nice been getting lots of winners over the summer, and it's good to be where I am at the minute.
And where you at is you're in with a shout of the Apprentice Championship, which would be obviously a massive fillip for you. Only a couple behind Sean Bowen at the moment, so there is chances of getting that win on the board in that.
Yeah, I'd say I'm obviously not far behind. There's with lots of nice trainers and owners, and to be in the shake-up, it's good. Yeah, obviously my first year of being on the grass, so it's good to be in the shake-up for the championship, and fingers crossed we can get a few more winners in the bag. Yeah.
And you talk about owners. You certainly seem to have attracted some pretty big ones. The Gradley family, Godolphin.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some nice names to be a part of.
That's it. Yeah, it's my agent Sash Ryan's been getting me on the nice horses at the right times, and to be able to ride for owners like that, it's nice, and to get winners at Goodwood as well, which is pretty good. Yeah. I came here before I got my licence, and as soon as I was apprentice, you know, as soon as the papers come through, I was on a horse the next day, and he's been supporting me massively, putting me on horses all over the winter and throughout the summer. And he's been a massive supporter towards my career. Yeah.
He seems a very important mentor, and of course he's had some fine jockeys under his tutelage in the past, including Tom Marquand, who of course went on to great things. So there is proven talent there in the back ranks.
I'd say, yeah, it's a great yard to be in. He looks after the apprentices, obviously. Having Molly Phillips and George Down in here, he's really looked after them and helped them get a good career. And obviously Tom being here on the weekends, I think. And yeah, I think it's the best yard to be at, to be an apprentice, yeah.
Tom was excellent, and as Tom speaks for himself now, he's top class. But yeah, this boy's very similar.
And what was it like riding that first winner to get the monkey off your back? I imagine a real thrill. Yeah,
it was an amazing thrill. Obviously, the head lad here, Titch, owns the horse, and he's in the syndicate. And going into the race, he said, "Oh, he'll run well." So you know, he's sort of a horse you can let him get along in front on his own, and he'll sort of do all the work for you. And going into the race, I knew I had a good chance, and he just jumped from the stalls, and I just steered him around and asked him to quicken, and going over the line in front, it was just an amazing thrill. You know, it didn't really even feel real. You know, going back into the winners' enclosure and getting interviewed after, it was pretty amazing, yeah.
That's it for the latest episode of This Racing Live. Thanks to everyone, including Tony Carroll, Jack Doughty and the O'Neills. It's full steam ahead to next week's episode.